Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Dice Manor by Arcane Wonders.
Dice Manor is a game in which you are going to be a real estate agent. Well, sort of. You are going to be building a house and then trying to show off that house as a real estate agent. So I guess you're kind of a home builder slash real estate agent in this game. This game is going to have a combination of different mechanics such as dice rolling, action selection, and a little bit of tile laying, tableau building sort of kind of thing. Let's take a look at how it plays down below, and then we'll come back and share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. Alright, I have Dice Manor on the table from Arcane Wonders. Let me show you guys how this dice rolling, tile laying game about building a manor and then doing an open house tour like a real estate agent kind of game works. So in this game, you are going to have a game board here that is going to keep track of your score over on this side, round tracker right here. You do have some options to be able to place your dice for doing different actions on your turn. Obviously, you've got tiles of different shapes and sizes, different colors as well. And of course, you do have dice in the game. Now, you are going to start with 7 dice, and these are just regular D6 dice that are in your player color. And you have the option to be able to earn 2 additional dice to use on your turn for a total of 9 dice for each player. You've got house meeples here and a score tracker cube. There are also some tokens for this game that you can try to earn throughout the course of the game, and you do have a nice player aid that gives you a nice breakdown of how a round works and what the different dice locations do, as well as the bonuses that you will earn at the end of a turn. Now, how this game is going to work, there are going to be 4 normal rounds followed by a 5th grand opening tour round that will end the game. And in this, you will have a first player who will do an action, the next player will take an action, and so on and so forth until no player can do any more actions, and then you will earn your rewards for that turn. So on a turn, how it works, everybody at the same time will roll their dice. You'll do this simultaneously, and then you will group like numbers. So I've got 2 5s, a 1, 2 6s, a 3, and a 2. And you would do this in your right next to where you are playing. You wouldn't do this on the main board here. I'm just doing this because it's on frame. And if you had any of these tokens, you could use these tokens at this time. The tokens serve 2 different purposes. You can spend them on this side to +1 or -1 to any 1 die out here. And maybe I do that because I want to try to get my dice to be in like numbers. So maybe I spend a token to make this one a 2, and maybe I spend another token to make this 3 a 2, and now I've got 3 2s that I can use. Or I could spend it on this side, and that would let me re-roll dice. So once I'm done changing my dice spending tokens, I've locked it in. This is what I have. Now I can choose any one group number of dice, and I could choose these 3 2s, for instance, or maybe these 2 5s or 2 6s. But whatever I end up choosing, that's what I'm using for this turn. And I have to use all the dice in that group. So I've got to use all 3 of my 2s here for my action. There are 3 different actions that you could use with your dice on your turn. The first type is to do advertising, and that's here in the middle of the board. I would place all of my dice on one of these 3 spots, depending on how many people have gone to do advertising prior to me on that round. If I'm the first person, I'm going to place my dice here in the first box. If somebody were already here, let's say that these 3 2s were of a different player color, and I was using my 2 5s. Well, even though 2 is less than 5, 3 dice are always better than 2 dice. And so I would have to place my 2 5s here in the second box. But if instead I had 3 5s, let's say, then my 3 5s are better than 3 2s, and I would bump the 3 2s down to the second box. And this would continue if somebody else were to come along with some other pairing, 1 single 6. You can do 1 dice. That is okay. They would have to go in this third box here. Hopefully you get the idea. And so that's how that works for advertising. We'll cover what you earn for each of these in a little bit. But that's one action you could do on your turn, advertising. Another thing you could do on your turn is you could bid for any one of these 6 tiles that represent the different rooms in your manor. Now, how bidding is going to work, it's very similar to advertising. You'll just use all of your dice and you'll place it on whatever tile that you are wanting to bid for. I've got my 3 5s here. I want this tile right here. Now, if somebody had already bid on it, let's say these 3 2s again, I can bump them out by placing my 3 5s on that tile, and then the 3 2s would go off of the tile just like so, and my 3 5s are better than the 3 2s. That is how that would work. And it's the same for all the different rooms. You bid on which rooms you want for that particular round. You can get multiple rooms too. You're not limited to a number of room tiles each round. You could theoretically get all 6 of them if that's how you used your dice. The third type of action you could do with your dice on your round is to give a tour of your manor. Now, in order to show you this, I'm going to pan the camera down a bit so that you can see what my player area would look like. Everybody starts the game with an entry tile in their player color, and that's just going to be placed in front of them. And as you get tiles throughout the game, you are going to build them into your manor. And you do have to connect doorways here. You cannot have a wall that meets up with the doorway. You have to match doorways. And so something like this is legal. And what you would be doing on your turn, again, you have to use a full set of dice here, and you place them in these spots here on the spots that match the numbers of the dice that you're using. Question mark could be anything. So I could place a 2 there. I could place a 2 here because this can hold a 2 or a 6, and I could place a 2 there. This would actually be a really good turn for me because each number of dice that you place on the same turn, so in this case I've placed 3 dice on this turn, that is going to earn you increasing rewards. If you only place 1 die, you're just going to get one of these tokens. If you place 2 dice, you are going to get 2 points. 3 dice, you'll get 5 points. 4 dice, you'll get 9 points. And then each additional die, 5 and over, is going to get you 2 extra points on top of the 9 that you get here. So you can see how it's beneficial to you to place dice all at once in your manor. Now, you are also going to receive 1 additional point for each die in your manor at the end of every round, rounds 1 through 4. So you get dice when you place them immediately, but then you get points when you place your dice immediately, but you get more points too at the end of the round for however many dice you have in your manor at the end of the round. So those are the 3 things you can do with your dice. Now, each player will do just 1 action with their dice on their turn, and then when a player has no more dice to work with, or they just don't want to continue to use their dice, they can pass. And once all players have passed, then you will collect your rewards. And how this will work, let's talk about advertising first. If you are the person who has your dice in the first box, you will get to move your house marker right here 2 spaces to the right. And so that would make me go 1, 2. And for every number that you pass or land on, that is how many victory points you will get. So in this case, I get 3 and 3 more. I would get 6 points, keeping track of that over here on this board. In addition to that, you will get to move your bonus die that you're trying to unlock 1 space to the left for every die that you placed in this box. So if I had 3 2s there, for instance, I am going to move this die 3 spaces to the right. Now, whenever you make your house here meet up or pass over a die, you get to unlock that die, adding it to the dice that you get to use on your next turn. And then you can start moving your second bonus die towards your house. And when your house meets up with that one, you get to unlock that die. If you're the person who won second, you'll move your house 1 space to the left, in addition to moving your die 1 space to the right for however many dice you put here. And then if you are in third place and multiple people can be in this third box, you will receive 1 of these tokens. And again, you will move your bonus die 1 space to the left for every dice that you place there. If you're the person who had bid the most for these room tiles, you will unlock them at this point, earning them and building them into your manor. That's when you add tiles to your manor. And that is what you do with the collection phase. Now, you will do this for 4 rounds, and as I mentioned, you'll get 1 point for each die that's in your manor at the end of rounds 1 through 4. And then in the 5th and final round, keeping track of your rounds right here, when you get to the 5th round, you will do a grand opening, and only a grand opening. So let's go back to the manor that I had previously built here, putting these tiles back in a manor to build my manor. See what I did there? And we'll add another bigger tile right here like so. And voila. Now, hopefully I would have more tiles in my manor because you do want to have as many tiles in your manor as possible. And you want to strategically place your tiles for this part of the game because every player in the 5th and final round will roll their dice. They'll do this simultaneously. Again, you will group them by number, and you will have to pick one group of numbers to use for doing a grand tour. So in this instance, I would probably use my 2s or my 6s, and you can spend tokens. So say I spent another one of these to change a 1 to a 2, and I would place them starting from my entryway, going 2, 2, 2. And I would then re-roll the dice that I did not use and repeat the process. And maybe I place a 1 there, and maybe I roll my dice again, and because I can place anything there, I place a 2 there. And then I would be done. Now, let's say that I didn't get dice that worked for me on a particular turn. Let's say that I really badly needed a 1. I rolled my dice. I didn't get a 1. I still have to pick a group of dice here. Probably not the 2 6s, probably a single die, and I have to place that outside of my entryway, and that is an unhappy guest who did not get to tour my manor. It is lost to me. I then have to continue doing this until I've used all of my dice. Again, I didn't get what I needed. Another unhappy guest. Let's do this again. Another unhappy guest. Now, I could not be smart and use my 2 3s, and I would lose both of those. That would not be a good thing to do, and unfortunately, I did not get to fill in this last spot. You are trying to ultimately use all of your dice to place in every manor of your every room of your manor, because you will get 3 additional points for every die that is inside your manor during the grand opening. After that is over, keeping track of all your points on the scoreboard over here on the right, then you will earn extra in-game victory points for the things down here. So, manor diversity. How many of the different room types did you collect throughout the course of the game? If you only have 4, you'll get 4 points. If you get all 6, you'll get 15 points. Do you have the largest manor? Do you have the most rooms in your manor? If so, you'll get 12 points. If you're second most, you'll get 6. You'll receive 1 extra point for every 2 tokens you have left over, and then you will score for color majority. So let's come back down here and look at the different tiles. For each different color, if you have the most of that color, you'll receive 12. Second most, you'll receive 6. And then we've got this purple tile here. Now, the purple tile is wild. It can be any color you want it to be. However, it is only the colors that are adjacent to it with connected rooms. And in this particular manor that I have situated right here, I don't have this room connected to any other room other than my entryway, which doesn't count as a color. So it's pretty much wasted in the position that it's in. If instead I had it situated like this, and I know this isn't a legal placement, but let's just pretend that it was, and let's say there was another doorway right here. I could connect it right there. Again, this isn't legal, but let's just pretend that it is. Then the purple tile here can count as any one of these colors that it's connected to. So in theory, I have 2 blues, I also have 2 yellows, and I also have 2 reds. You can make it count as more than one color. And so that's how you will score the color majority at the end of the game. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game is going to be the winner, and that is how you play Dice Manor. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one.
And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Dice Manor from a gamer and non-gamer perspective while you check out some gameplay footage. So Sam, first impressions seeing this out on the table, what did you think?
I love tile laying.
Right.
It's my thing.
Yep.
So that was exciting, but it did look a little complicated with all the different areas that you're moving your color around. So it was a lot visually at first.
Sure. Yeah, and even trying to wrap my head around it as the gamer, it's got some interesting rules that are not maybe traditional with other tile laying games or other action selection type games. The rules, I wouldn't say, are super intuitive. It does take reading the rule book 2 or 3 times before you really kind of get your mind around it. In fact, even the gameplay that you're watching of this right now, we made several mistakes in it, and we realized after the fact that, oh, we got this wrong, we got that wrong. And so even after playing it a few times, you might realize I'm doing things wrong with this game.
It's a great game because you're playing it wrong.
Right, exactly. Which for me as a gamer, that kind of experience is frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't know what it must be like for you. What
That's
is
my normal playing of games.
Okay.
I never understand the rules the first time.
Now that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad game.
No.
I still had a good experience with this one. What about for you?
I felt like maybe they tried to put a little too much into this game. They really tried to sell the real estate aspect of it.
Yeah.
And maybe if they would have taken out just one part of it, it would have been a little less confusing.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to what you're saying there, because it does sort of feel like, okay, I need to bump up my advertising so that I get more dice, and you need dice because the dice are the most important concept of this game. This is truly a dice rolling game at its heart, and really managing the randomness with the dice and trying to use your dice efficiently. But then you really need to build the house too. And it sort of feels like those two things, I mean, they go together, but then the building of the house is somewhat complicated.
Yeah.
And then you've got to show the house, which has some complexity in and of itself. It's like each different facet of the game has its own little complexity, its own quirks and odds. And when you add it all together,
the colors and the type of houses, and there's just a lot going on, and all individually are easy to understand and make for a good game, but all of it together feels like just a little too much.
Right? And I'll agree with that for sure. Now it is a Dice Tower Essential game, which historically those have been games that have been easy entry point, quick to get to the table, quick to explain. And I don't know that this one
quite meets
that mark and is on the same level as some of those other games, because I do think it's a little bit more complex than others. But I don't know, it's still kind of a lighter experience. It's hard to explain.
I think you kind of have to choose what you're going to focus on. Like, I built my house. I went with trying to get one of every type of room, and I kind of ignored some other aspects of it, which led me to lose. But
whereas I was more focused on advertising and getting more dice, which also gets you a lot of points, too.
Yeah, so, I mean...
Yeah. Well, and so all in all with this game, it has some things about it that I like. I think, the dice rolling aspect and choosing what to do with your dice and how those work. You use the group of dice of the same number, but you choose which group you want to use. I think that's pretty clever. I think that's a cool way to use the dice to make different actions happen. I just wish it was a little more intuitive with the house you're building and how all of it scores points for you in the long run. All right, let's get to some pros and cons for this game. So what stands out to you in a positive way as a non-gamer?
I mean, the building of the house I really enjoyed, and using your dice to do the tour through the house, I really liked those parts.
Okay.
And, I like building something. I like seeing something that you've created, and everyone's is different. And the idea of using the dice in a specific way to go through the house was challenging but exciting. So I think the only con I have, we've already mentioned, there's just other things like the advertising. I really didn't focus on that. I had a hard time getting that into my gameplay, and it just ended up with me losing.
Yeah, I think what you said right there is my biggest thing with this game. I had a hard time getting that aspect into what I was trying to do. It really feels like I can only do...
You can only be a realtor or home builder. Which one are you going to be?
Yeah. Or you can only focus on getting the tiles that work with your dice, or getting the tiles that work with the color, or getting the tiles that work with the different shapes. You can't make all the things work out for you, which sort of feels like in the long run, I got colors, you got shapes. I got the right numbers, you got the advertising. Like, it sort of feels like you get what you can get, and it might
come out as a wash.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just some things I feel about the game. So, but it is still a fun experience. It's hard to really kind of put my finger on this game. So, for me, I think it has a great display on the table. I like the way it looks. The production value on this game is really top notch, as Arcane Wonders is historically known for doing with their games. So all that is great. I just wish maybe the gameplay was a little more intuitive, a little more smooth. All right, let's get to our scores for this particular game. Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. I'll go first if that's all right. For me, I think this game comes in about a 6.8. It's a game that has some things that I like about it, and as you guys probably already know, we really love tiling, so anything with tiling is going to be already a notch in a good direction for us, so that's got that with this one. And I do like the cleverness of using the dice, but outside of that, there's some things that are just wonky for me.
Yeah. I would probably give it a 6.6.
6.6,
Yeah.
okay. All right, there you go. 6.8, 6.6, that's where we come in at on Dice Manor. It is from Arcane Wonders. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this game.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.